Oh, hey, it's Gore Magala! Oh, I love Gore Magala. And his floating frenzy ball mines? That's... What? What is he do? What? I want to see that again! Okay. Well, that was exotic. Here's exotic Gore Magala! Look at him! I realize I'm jumping the gun. I've not even said hello, everyone. I've not even said welcome, fellow hunters. I've not even said consider liking if you're enjoying these talks on, well, monsters and subscribing so you don't miss more of them in the future. But when you are faced with a Gore Magala that looks this beautiful, with his glorious triple-tiered butterfly-esque kind of artillery wings in glorious glow as he ascends beyond all known comprehensions of power, it's hard to resist jumping straight in with that. But, alas, it's gone. And it's just me, again. Hello, my fellow hunters, and welcome to today as we talk about the exotic species, a class of monster from Frontier that you might well recognize, that you might well be familiar with, but in Frontier terms, it's very strange, very strange. Strange like this Uragan, which kind of looks like an Uragan that's just been dropped by an absolute giant, and this was taken the frame that he hit the ground. I'm not wrong, right? And you might be like, well, why Uragan? He's a pretty normal brute wyvern. Well, the thing is, Monster Hunter Frontier, for all of its ridiculous amount of weird and wonderful new monsters, had very few of the, actual mainline Monster Hunter monsters. In fact, since 2007, it hadn't actually gotten a mainline monster put into Frontier until all the way in 2015, when, well, the exotic species began with Zenith, Devil Joe, and Bracky Daddy. And you may be like, okay, so it's just a name for them putting in popular mainline monsters, because I assume Frontier players wanted to hunt popular mainline monsters. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Seems a bit weird that we lost Hypnocatrice because they didn't like us having a Frontier exclusive, but now they've, taken all of our lovely exclusives, but, I'm not going to mention that. Okay, look, I joke, but I really do want Hypnocatrice to come back. I absolutely adore the sleep bird. In any case, essentially, you would be right, but there is a key difference. It being Frontier and all, the exotic species, the mainline popular monsters that got added, gained a whole slew of new attacks. They fought normally in high rank, but in G rank they went goddamn mental. Like, we are talking very mental, with attacks that are absolutely colossal in scope and awe-inspiring as much as they are terrifying. In fact, looking at exotic Brachydios specifically, there's actually a fair amount that kinda harkens to how Raging Brachydios was implemented in Iceborne, so that's kind of a neat little comparison there. But needless to say, you have never seen these, well, monsters as you know them, perform such feats of daring do as they do in Frontier. So why am I talking about them then, if they're just, super-powered, extra-move version of monsters we know and love? Well, for the most part, that is true, but a couple of them are very special. A couple of them are noteworthy, a couple of them go well beyond new moves, and enter into the realm of an entire new experience from the ground up that Why did I just break? I just broke. Why did I just say E a lot? What happened? Sometimes it's moments like these that made me wonder if I should at all script videos, but, then I remember, no. So we're going to focus on 3 specifically, but for a quick rundown, well, there was Zenith, Devil Joe, Brachydios, Barioth, Uragan, Stygian Zenith, and the ones we're going to talk about. And for just a final capping off on exactly how exotic species fit into the ecology, the world, the lore of Frontier, Well, Frontier is zoned in and hubbed around Mesoporta, a big, bustling city quite far away from the lands that we know from the mainline Monster Hunter series. And, well, around that Mesoporta area, these exotic species are not native. There's no naturally living members of any of them. So when they started getting sighting, well, they got dubbed as exotic, because they're simply not from here. How they got there is a mystery, as much of a mystery as why they are so much more powerful in these lands. It's essentially like walking out of your front door and seeing a tiger staring at you. You know what a tiger is, it's a normal animal, you know, as far as things go, but holy fuck, why is there a tiger here? In any case, then, let's have a little look here, beginning with exotic Nargacuga, who really kicks in when he enrages. And thus the fur turns blue, and he gets after images on jumps. After images on jumps! Like, yeah, okay, it's moving so fast we're doing after images, are we? It's a bit over the top, but at the same time, it's undoubtedly badass. Now, I will say that the blue fur has precedent. There is incredibly rare cases of a Nargacuga's fur tinging that azure luster, largely depending on the season. So, what else can it do? Well, it gains bleeding wind from Silverwind, it gains poison, feathers from Lucent, and generally just becomes an absolute nuisance monster that is win one of the toughest fights in Frontier. So that's pretty neat, right? And you'll notice then that Nargacuga changes visually when it enrages. Well, that's the theme of the exotic monsters that I want to talk about, and the exotic monsters that I very much would love to see in the mainline series. A monster that's as we know it, but not quite the same, in a way that doesn't feel like a subspecies or a variant or anything that we already can categorize. It just feels like the monster squared, the existing monster but extra. It's not different enough to be different, but it's just really, really intense. There's something kind of appealing about that. So then we return to Gore Magala, who indeed goes very big boy frenzy mode and gets these gorgeous wings split into three, the purples crystallizing and glowing upon him, his frenzy aura absolute. You cannot deny that he looks simply beautiful. Now, the reason he can do this is what's known as true frenzy mode. For whatever reason, and I am loath to use the term for whatever reason, but the reason is indeed whatever, Gore Magala around Mesoporta were exceptionally strong, and past going into usual frenzy darkness feelers up mode, they could then go one layer deeper, which would enhance their control of the frenzy virus even more, concentrate it down even more, and it is the true peak of frenzy, the frenzy scales dancing at their command, and now they can summon them and combine them and send them after you in attacks, patterns, and pure displays of awesomeness that you have not seen elsewhere in the Monster Hunter world. And this is, well, quite awesome. And a little tidbit, this Gore Magala visual is actually close to how Gore Magala was initially drawn in some concepts before he was implemented into Monster Hunter 4, which is a nice little homage to what could have been when it came to Gore Magala. So this exotic Gore Magala very much was almost the one that we got, and that's really, really awesome. So, like, at this point, I do want to ask, imagine you get a Gore Magala, you're in a normal hunt, you're fighting it, and then all of a sudden, while in frenzy mode, it suddenly goes true frenzy mode, and oh my god! And there's no warning for this. The quest didn't prepare you. It was otherwise a normal Gore Magala quest. Because that's how I like the idea of this. With the idea that these exotic monsters are very much just a normal member of that species, but they're just a little bit stronger. They've been training, you know, and because of that, they can get to this level that the others can't. So there's just a chance when you go hunting that the monster you'll face has this extra layer of strength to it that it can surprise you with. Now that might be a little bit of a complication when it comes to, well, okay, but what about if there's special armor? Do we have to just keep spamming quests till we get the special one, or will there eventually be a quest for it? Obviously, logistically and mechanically in a satisfying game experience, that needs working out. But I love the element of surprise because you don't categorize these differently. They're still the base monster. So it would kind of be a neat way to throw that in without making it overtly obvious what's going to happen. Or, of course, you could just have it so that low and high rank Gore Magalas are as we know them, and then G rank ones have this extra layer. You just make the G rank version of a monster have its exotic strength for that extra step up of challenge. So that way it's not a new monster per se, but it very much provides a whole new experience. It's essentially taking what they do now when they give monsters new moves to take you off guard with in G rank, but really turn that up to 11. And I can really get behind that idea, especially when the monsters end up looking as deliciously sexy as Shagaru Magala, because of course if Gore came, so did Papa Gore, and it went from shining star.
I'm Shagaru Magala Gore, I am your father. I cover everything in darkness I bring. It's a frenzy, but I ain't your frenzy. So let's begin, let me hear your wail. And by the way, what you think of my golden scales?
2. Well, rainbow butterfly? Which doesn't sound as intimidating, honestly, but of course then, if Gore Magala can go true frenzy mode, well, Shagaru Magala is also able to take it that one step further. This true frenzy mode is absolutely breathtaking. The prismatic colours, the grace, the serene beauty that it seems to command. The control of the frenzy virus displayed by Shagaru, which is already like extinction level, is even more concentrated. It is more fearsome, and it is of course infinitely more deadly, able to spread much quicker, kill much faster, wither and enrage, and corrupt the very environment at an alarming, unprecedented rate. All while looking divine, might I add. And like with Gore Magala, this indeed is based off some of the more original concept art when it came to designing Shagaru. He very much had butterfly motifs, which makes sense when you think about it, because, you know, Gore Magala is a shedder into a new form. He has that kind of chrysalis rebirth aesthetic to him when he does eventually get enough energy, have enough food to metamorphosis into Shagaru Magala. So I really like that more kind of beautiful butterfly insect rising aesthetic and theme that they chose for him. I very much am a big fan. And indeed, because Frontier is Frontier, there is a light element, which is fire and thunder, that Shagaru's, and then a darkness element, which is ice and dragon, which is Gore. And that is a very neat little list of weapon combinations, and they also look absolutely beautiful too. Now, of course, I have saved the best for last. Welcome then to the best roar in all of Monster Hunter. Oh yes, Amatsu. He is indeed the apex of the exotic species, the final one to be added, and I would argue the most dramatically transformed. At a base level, the control of water is, well, overwhelmingly more potent. It indeed got quite the power up, and I think that's probably to compete in terms of sheer scale with Shantien, another very similar, albeit different elementally, monster to how Amatsu operates. In any case, you have big old water tornadoes, big old blobs of it, giant bubble explosions raining death, and just a general torrent onslaught that is enough to make anyone need a towel. Okay, that sounded much more intimidating in in my head. So, Amatsu have always had a little bit of dragon element coursing within them. They are indeed elder dragons, and all elder dragons have a small affinity for this mysterious element unlike any other. But when it comes to the Amatsu in Frontier, the Amatsu around Mesoporta, they have learnt to harness it, to grow it, and to imbue themselves with it. Their hidden power unleashed, they are reborn as Dragon Amatsu. And is this not one of the most wonderful things you've seen? The black and red fins are just But then the contrast with this deep blue body shimmering down his belly, culminating in a glow at the gem held within the storm vestibule that powers Amatsu, crackling with raw, unfiltered energy. His attacks, now infused with dragon, become like nothing you've ever seen before, and they have no bounds. Cracking water across the entire ground, shoots of it surging up. It makes his super attack in base form, well, just a normal everyday occurrence when he is dragoned up. Dragon fused with water running through it is something we've never quite seen before, and is one amazing combination of elements. It truly is something to behold, and again really speaks to the fact that I so want more dual element monsters. I want to know what ice and thunder looks like together. I want to know what dragon and ice looks like together. I want to know what ice and water looks like together. I don't know why ice was the one that kept happening there, but you get the point. And seeing dragon and water dancing with such fury on top of a creature with such serene grace and effortless beauty is something you don't forget often. And honestly, I am close to saying that Dragoned Up Amatsu might be the single coolest looking creature design in the entirety of Frontier. I think it is just perfect. So there you go, guys. That is the exotic species. Our well-known favorites, frontierified and made into something more than they ever were before. And I posit to you then the question, would you like them? Would you like them added just as subspecies? Would you like them as surprise extras in a fight? Would you like them as the default G-rank version of a monster? However it is implemented, well, I think one thing is for certain, they would be absolutely delightful to experience. It was a really neat idea on how to make these already popular mainline monsters feel fresh and exciting, and it was definitely pulled off fairly well within the bounds and expectations of Frontier. So there you go, guys. Let me know if there's any category of monster you'd like me to talk about next, but until we meet again, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon down below. Oh god. Bye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.